Hello everyone, my name is Max. I learn languages and this year in 2022 I'm learning Persian. Now this video has four parts. First, I'll tell you in general how it's going. Then, second, I will tell you in more detail what is going well. And third, I will tell you with as much detail as I can what is not going so well. And fourthly, I will show you what my plan is for the coming weeks. Okay, so let's start. Number one, I studied now for 136.8 hours in 153 days. So that is quite a lot less actually than 1 hour a day. And 1 hour a day is what I'm aiming for. So the reason that I'm falling behind is that I've been on a holiday for 1 week, so I didn't study 1 hour a day when I was on holiday in Spain, also because I wanted to focus on Spanish. Second of all, a lot of other things came up, so I'm now an official Cambridge English examiner, and I had to do lots of assessments to achieve that. So I've just been busy basically. And thirdly, my schedule changed, so therefore my rhythm was not easy to keep up with my rhythm, you know. Now I'm still a beginner in Farsi, of course, but I think I'm around the A1 level now. And all these reasons are my reasons to study less, but definitely not to quit study or to stop with Farsi or anything like that. Actually, I'm more motivated than ever because I feel that it's going quite well. So that's part two. I'll try to explain some things that are going well. Now, first of all, the script is going very well. I made a video recently, last week I think, about how I've learned the script, in which I stated that I can now read as a 6-year-old toddler, but actually I can already read a little bit better than that. So of course I'm still copying text and all of that, as you can see here, and I'm reading them out loud. And what I noticed since a couple of like 2 or 3 weeks ago is that I started to recognize words. So many words I'm still reading them letter by letter. So for example, sh, o, shoma, which is like you, right? So that happens with some words, of course, especially words, or pretty much only words that I've not seen before. But there are a lot of words that I've actually already seen before. And those words, I don't read them letter by letter, but I recognize them kind of as a picture instead of as a combination of different parts. So that feels really great because that means that there are a few sentences that I'm reading quickly, you know, and that feels fantastic. Now what's going great. That's the script. Second of all, I had a few moments of success when it comes to Farsi. One of them was that a student of mine, so if you don't know, I'm a Dutch teacher as well here in Holland, and I give group classes. And some of my students are Iranian or from Afghanistan. And what happened already a couple of times is that they didn't know a word in Dutch, you know. They are absolute beginners. I teach mostly beginners, and they didn't know a word. So for example, one man didn't know the word reason in Dutch, which is reden, when he saw it in a text, and I translated it for him on the spot in Farsi. It just popped up in my mind. So I said dalile, and he was very surprised, of course. So that was great, and I've had a couple of those moments. Now, the third thing that is going quite well is my conversational ability. I noticed during a group class that I was able to explain some things on the spot and kind of spontaneously formed a few sentences about things that were happening at that moment. So for example, when the teacher was writing on the board, I could say, she is, or the teacher is writing on the board, which was quite cool. I think that it just popped up in my mind as well. So that's very nice. And in that respect, in this same area of conversational ability, I also have to mention that I had my first real conversation with a random person on the street, which was well, it was not a completely random person. It was actually the girlfriend of somebody that I know from when I studied philosophy here in Rotterdam, and she said she was from Iran. So I said something in Farsi, and then we had a little conversation. And after a couple of minutes, 2 minutes, I think, I realized, or I didn't understand it anymore. And I said, sorry, I don't get it. And then she told me that she hadn't realized that I just started studying Farsi, which was quite the compliment for me. So that's nice. So those are the things that are going well. Now, thirdly, I'll explain what is not going so well. Okay, so first of all, I couldn't do an hour a day, as I said before, which is not nice. I want to do an hour a day, but it was just too busy. So it doesn't matter. I'll just catch up later. So the time, that's the first thing. Second thing, I stopped using the G5 method. As you see behind me there's still the 5 boxes where I've stocked, so to say, the flashcards, but I'm not using them at all right now. Instead, I started today with an application. This application is called Ling. I'll make sure the link is in the description. So it's this monkey here. And what I did is I set my language to German, so that I'll be learning Farsi in German. And that way I'm learning a little bit of German as well, or at least keeping up with my German studies as well. This is a thing called language stacking, which means that you learn another language through a language that you are also still learning, but that you have a higher level in. So you can Google that if you find it interesting. And so the script is going well, but the G5 is not going well, and the vocabulary therefore is also kind of falling behind my vocabulary studies, because I feel like I need more words. That's normal at this stage. I know from studying other languages that that's normal. Only it's not going fast enough by just reading and listening, I feel. So that's why I installed this app, and I only started today, so I can't tell you if it's going well. I can only tell you that I liked to play around with it for the last 40 minutes, so that was very nice. And one thing that I forgot to mention that I think is going well is the pronunciation. So I'm reading, as I said, many things out loud, and I feel that that my mouth muscles and my throat is getting used to pronouncing these strange sounds, like ra, for example, rabel nadare. I think I now have the sound. Some of you wrote in the comments that my g is very good, my g in Farsi, and that's because I'm Dutch. So we have the g actually in our own language. So that's not an achievement at all. Okay, but pronunciation I think is going well. Fourthly, I'll tell you about my plan for the coming weeks. Okay, so my plan is to do 1 chapter of this book a week. So this book has 17 chapters, as you can see here, and I'm going to do 1 chapter every week in my morning studies. And by doing a chapter, I mean not doing everything in the chapter, because most of these exercises that the book has are super boring, I think, completely boring. So I do almost none of them. Sometimes I do not even do my homework for the group class that I'm following. But what I'm doing instead is I'm focusing on the dialogues. So I go to the dialogue of the chapter, the first dialogue, I listen to it, I translate the words, I listen to it again, I repeat it, I listen to it again, until I have a feeling that I really understand what's going on. That means that I do not want to understand every word, but I just want to understand about 90% of what's happening. And this is mainly an intuitive goal, okay? So I just want to feel like, I get it. And then I just move on, okay? Now, the reason that I chose to take this approach is because I felt that I was not learning fast enough, because I was focusing too much on doing everything in 1 chapter. So that's why I decided to just do 1 chapter a week. And if in 7 days I was not able to do as much as I want with the dialogues, and I feel that I understand only, let's say, 80% or 70% of a dialogue, I still follow the program. So I will not continue until I understand 90% of the dialogue, but I will just go on and focus on the new dialogues. Now, you'll see, of course, especially in this book, because I think it's a great book, that in the dialogue of chapter 10, for example, most of the words and constructions and structures of the sentences are actually repeated throughout the book, right? So in chapter 10, they repeat the structures of chapter 9. That's what I'm trying to say. So therefore, it's not a big deal if I skip something. Okay. What do I do with the dialogues? Apart from just listening and reading, I also copy them here, as you can see, and I translate them into English in this case, or I translate them into Dutch, or I make little drawings to make sure I don't forget certain words and things like that. And sometimes I try to figure out structures by using different colors, you know. So for example, I write everything that I think is easy in pink and everything that's difficult in green, etc. So that's my plan now, to do 1 chapter a week, which means that before the 18th of July, I will have finished the complete book. And I will understand about 90% of what's going on in every single dialogue of this book, which means that I know hundreds of words, probably about 1,200 to 1,500 words, which means I will have reached an A2 level in terms of understanding Persian, so reading and listening. Now, my writing and speaking skills will not be at A2 level yet, I think, and I'm going to get that up to an A2 level by, of course, writing and speaking, but I don't feel like doing that now. I feel like kind of chill language learning, so just doing what I feel like and not really forcing myself to write difficult texts or anything like that. I just feel like copying and things like that, which is a lot easier, of course. I won't call myself a lazy language learner because, you know, I get up early just to study. But it's definitely a lot easier than making grammar exercises or something like that, which I never do, as I said before. Okay, lastly, the second part of my plan is to do more of the cool things that I did also this month, which is going to an Iranian restaurant and try to speak with the waiters, going to an Iranian ice cream shop here in Rotterdam that I love and try to speak the language with the people that work there. And lastly, I'm going to get back into Zoom and speak with my language coach, because my language coach Nima and I, we haven't been speaking because first he was on a holiday, then I was on a holiday, then I was busy, then he was busy. So we're going to get back on track, speak with each other, and I hope I can show you one of those conversations. And in those conversations, I hope that you can see, if you understand Farsi, that I've improved greatly. So that's it for now, and I will see you when I speak better.